Namaste. Welcome everybody. Thank you again for pressing play. I hope you've had a wonderful, wonderful week. Again, I cannot speak for you. I can only speak for myself. But I had a lovely, wonderful week filled with surprises, all lovely surprises, some delays, but the delays sort of kind of worked out better. Patience is a theme. I had some interesting experiences. One morning I woke up to a message that had come through in the early hours of the morning, and it simply said, "Call me when you wake up. I'm so psychic, I scared myself." And I'm like, yes, you are your mother's daughter, child. Patience. Okay, so I can tell you, going forward, patience is going to be a very big theme. Patience is one of the fruits of the spirit. It's something you need to cultivate. But once you have begun to master it, and it is a lifetime journey. Your journey it's a lifetime. You know, the old system had us been going second, minutes, hours, days, rush. I've never had a life I've really needed a holiday from. That's why I've never really had a holiday. Never really needed one. Never had a life that I needed a holiday from. But you've got to learn patience. You've got to learn to slow it down. And we're going into a period with the Mercury Retrograde where we are going to be forced to slow down. We're going to be forced to exercise our muscles of patience. Patience, child. Yes. Okay, so my week was great. I love music, and I love all sorts of music. And I get songs that come to me on the airwaves. And Walking on Sunshine played in my mind throughout the weekend. Although it rained quite substantially, which we do need, I felt like I was walking on sunshine, which reminds me of the parable, the scripture from the New Testament about Jesus walking on water. We know the story. There was a seas, rough oceans, and the disciples were in the boat, feeling afraid for their lives because it was rough out there. And they saw something coming towards them in the distance, and they got even more afraid. They thought it was a ghost. They was like, "Oh my God, there's a ghost coming." But as it drew nearer, they realized it was their teacher, their master, Yeshua. Yes? And he was walking on water. The seas were going on, and he was walking on the water. And Yeshua said to one of the disciples, "Come on, you too, you can walk on water too." So of course he got out the boat, buoyed. And he took a tentative step, and perhaps another tentative step, but then he started to sink. And Yeshua reached down and pulled him from the tumultuous oceans. Now, in what reality do we reside? Do we think that this man defied gravity in that respect? Let me tell you the spirit of the story. You see, when life for you is like a tumultuous ocean, and there you are in your little dinghy of life, terrified, you're holding on, white knuckles, your eyes are closed, and you're holding on for dear life. And the storms of life are buffeting you, and you don't know whether you're up, you're down, you're left, you're right, and you're just there. That's the storms and the seas of life, isn't it? But when you walk hand in hand with your eternal parents, you too can walk on water. What does it mean? It means your life is still filled with the ups and downs and the storms of life, as everyone else's, but for some reason, you seem, from other people's point of view, to be able to just walk on water. Nothing seems to bother you. You're just like, yeah, the wave is coming, and you're like, oh, I'll just duck that one out of the way. And you make it look so easy. That's what walking on water is. And we've been promised that through the storms of life, we too can walk above the storms. This is a period of very stormy weather. Very, very stormy. So, let us make a commitment every day to rise above the storms of life and the chaos in the world right now. And like your brother, you too can walk on water. All right, great week it was. Walking on sunshine or walking on water. Not too much astrology this week because it is very, very busy. Many, as we've discussed, of the astrological movements are long-term, others are short-term. So there's a lot going on. It's very, very tumultuous in the energy. So this week, coming forward, we don't have that many changes short-term because we are still digesting and coming to terms with the underlying long-term changes. Okay. Also remember, during the eclipse period, which we discussed at length, that was another thing. After the video, I wait for the call to come from my daughter. You see, she thought perhaps that if she gave me a call during the day, she would get a heads up. And I've explained to her, no, darling, a lot of what happens live. So I can't give you a snapshot. You will have to wait. Patience again, like everybody else. So I wait for the call. Sometimes she'll call me just before it goes live to say, is it a good one? Am I going to be happy? In other words, are you going to tell me everything I want to hear? Or am I going to have to hear some things I really don't want to hear, but I need to hear? In other words, and okay, no, it's always great. It's great. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Or she'll ask me questions and I'll go, no, wait, you've got to wait for the reading. I cover it. So the call came and it started with your video. Yes. It was so long. So let's hope today's is a little bit less long. All right, we start. The first movement for the week commencing 7th of June is on Thursday, the 11th. Sun square Neptune. A challenge to transform our sense of self-identity through letting go of the various limiting labels we define ourselves by, to connect with our true spiritual nature. So let's just take a shot back at a little bit of recap. So you were born, someone gave you a name, an identity, and a number. Then those around you proceeded to tell you what was right and wrong and gave you a window from which you can view the world. And you grew up, and sometimes you grew up and then you realize, well, some of the things they said to you weren't quite right. You didn't gel with them, they didn't set with you, they didn't resonate with you. Some of you might have been in a situation where people were actively forcing you down certain roads and you subserviently went through, but it caused you such internal conflict. And then to cope, you maybe had to then go and pursue activities, make life tolerable by numbing out and by being able to just block out the reality, so that when the seas and the oceans of life came, you just sat in the boat, or you just waited for it to capsize, or not really taking responsibility for yourself, essentially. All right, that's who you think you are, that's who everyone else has told you you are, but who are you really? Who are you really? When you think about the fact that you must have existed before you came into the body, because nothing exists that hasn't always existed, as in from the beginning of time, as we know it. Once energy is created, it can never be destroyed, really. It can be changed. Yes? So you were created. You're a spiritual being, your soul. Yes, we want to believe that we die, we go to heaven, lovely. We do, in a manner of speaking. But you have to know that heaven before you pass. Otherwise, how will you recognize it? How will you resonate with it? How will you won't be on the right vibration or frequency. So you have to know the heaven, which is here. And no better time to experience heaven on earth than in a time of global chaos. Because the energy that you contribute now is hugely important. Are you contributing fear or are you contributing faith? Your energy. Every day when you wake up, when you walk into a room, does the energy level drop or does it rise up? Think about it. You've gone somewhere, pre-woohoo. You've gone to a house party, let's say. And it's great, everything's great. And then someone arrives that you've never met before, but this person is just so full of life. They're bouncy. They seem to get on with everyone. They're friendly. They're smart. They walk into the room, the whole place lights up. High energy individual. Yes, high energy. the energy of that person just from arriving increases the collective. But in the same respect, you can go to a party or somewhere and everything's fine and someone walks in and, oh, woe is me. Oh, ooh. That pulls the whole energy of the collective down. That is energy. We radiate energy. Essentially, we are a transmitter and a receiver of energy. So, where you're at now, excuse me, with your energy is adding to the collective, even if you're stuck in your house. Even if you're stuck in your house. Okay. Connecting to us true spiritual nature, who you were before everyone else decided to tell you who you were. In the process, qualities such as unconditional love, empathy, compassion, psychic sensitivity, I'm so psychic, I make myself scared, and selfless service naturally emerge. Remembering to stay grounded and present in the body is necessary to avoid being pulled off center by illusion, confusion, and deception. Think about this. You'll have a mobile phone. The mobile phone is not attached to a cord. When the phone rings, it's because the phone is receiving a signal. How is it receiving the signal? That phone, and all the millions and millions and billions of phones, mobile phones out there, are not attached to a cord. Oh, well, it's because I'm getting it through my provider. Yes, your provider, your mobile provider, has purchased space or width on transmitters and receivers that have now become a network across the world. Let's take it back one step. Think of a radio. Yes, you've got a radio station. I'm in Coventry. Let's take the local radio station. The local radio station broadcasts from a building somewhere locally. On the top of their building, they've got transmitters and receivers. Now, that transmitter and receiver has a certain capacity to reach a certain distance. All right, so say they wanted to increase their coverage, they want to increase their audience, they would then link up with other transmitters and receivers elsewhere and purchase space, essentially, to transmit. But think about this. As those signals, the person, the DJ, is sitting in the studio, the DJ is speaking. That sound is being captured. It's being sent up into that transmitters. And that is transmitting out. If you're near to the receiver, your device, your radio has a receiver. It picks up that signal. Okay. If you're further away, that signal might go through several transmitters and receivers before your receiver, your radio, picks up the sound. You turn it on, there's music. It's lovely. Okay, transmitters and receivers. Your mobile phone works on the same principle. Transmitters and receivers. Okay, so your phone rings. Oh, it's Jesus. Hey, bruv. You speaking? How is that sound getting to you? Through the transmitters and receivers. But those transmitters and receivers, although they're connected to electricity and they have all components in them, are sending that signal through the air waves. It's coming through the air. Okay. Your body is a transmitter and a receiver, just like that. So all of those signals, boom, radio signals, mobile phone signals, boom, 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 spectrum, a lot of spectrum of sound, a lot of people purchasing on different what is the correct terminology? I won't use bandwidth, that's not correct. It'll come to me just now. Anyway, so you have to turn your dial to a certain number to pick up that signal. Okay, so different radio stations operate from different signals, which you will identify on your radio dial. All right, so I'll give you another example. You go to your friend's house. Unannounced, let's say, unannounced. Oh, exciting. Knock the door. Your friend answers, hi, how are you? You walk in and you can instantly feel, her and her fella have just had a Barney. They're all acting like everything's fine. I was like, oh, love a cup of tea. love, oh, oh, oh. Everything looks nice on the outside, but you could just feel, we say, you can then cut the atmosphere with a knife. The energy is so dense or so low that it feels like an actual force. All right. Now, you weren't there hearing the argument, but the energy, that low-level energy of all this arguing, you stepped into and it feels like you hit a force. Okay, your body is receiving these signals. So, what are you transmitting out? You're either the light of the world or you're the darkness of the world, or it's sort of somewhere in between. This is how vitally important it is. Right now, as the whole world is facing every possible truth that has been subverted and hidden, it is going to be revealed over the next few months. As we go into the Mercury Retrograde, which we'll chat about in a bit, we will see that everything that's happening now out in the world, this is just a snapshot of what we will be dealing with at a very deep level going forward. So, it is a great time for all of you guys to learn, literally, to walk on water and be the light of the world, even if you're stuck in your house. Okay, also on Thursday the 11th, Venus retrograde sextile Chiron. An opportunity to recognize where our core wounds affect our ability to form healthy, committed relationships with others, based on our ability to give and receive love. Healing comes through learning to love and accept ourselves unconditionally, so that we move beyond the judgment and fear that keeps us loving and keeps us being able to love others unconditionally. Now, that works as follows. When you accept that you're not perfect and you've let yourself down in your life, that you look around and go, well, I've had several failed relationships. I was the common denominator. I contributed. When you stop blaming everything and everyone, and you take that responsibility and say, what was my participation? What did I do? What did I not do? You check yourself. That's taking responsibility. You forgive yourself. You know what? I didn't do that too good, and I'm going to forgive myself for that. That means I don't want to do that again, but I'm going to forgive myself, because if I don't forgive myself, I'm probably not even going to try. I'm not perfect. Everyone feels alone in the world. Don't act like you don't. We all do. You know why? Because we came in alone, and we're going to go out alone. So if you learn to love you alone and look at yourself and appreciate all of you, which includes all the mistakes you believe you have made in your life, and you forgive yourself, it is near gone impossible then to hold judgment against another person when you see that behavior in them. So it starts with forgiving yourself and loving yourself for all you think you should have done or didn't do or could have done better. The other players in that scenario were there just to show you to love yourself more, respect yourself. You're important. If your whole life people have treated you like you didn't matter, it means you got the juice. There's something inside of you that others couldn't abide to let rise. Think about it. Starts with forgiving yourself. Then it's easy to forgive others. Very easy. Saturday the 13th, Mars conjunct Neptune. An opportunity to transform our actions and desires through letting go of selfish desires and impulsive actions based on escapism and addiction. Okay, so an example, everything's fine, you have a fight, you don't feel like you want to deal with it, so you decide to go and get drunk. You don't want to deal with it. Simple example. Or you have a Barney, you don't want to deal with it, so you go and do some online shopping, or, you know, whatever. Whatever's your escapism, whatever you do to escape, whatever's your addiction. The thing that you use to escape reality, in other words. So it's an opportunity to deal with that, which means you're probably going to get triggered. And then you're faced with the decision, well, do I do what I've always done and just go and blotto it out? Or do I go, actually, I'm going to deal with it this time. I'm going to be victorious. I'm going to walk on water. This time, I'm walking on water. One way to help yourself is, instead of turning to that numbing addiction, you go and you do something for yourself. Love yourself enough to go and meditate, go for a walk, take a bike ride, go and plant something, watch something, listen to some music, do some yoga. That's what loving yourself is. Don't wreck yourself. Oh, I don't want to deal with this, I'm just going to go and wreck myself. Oh, yeah, that's clever. Do something to help yourself. Love yourself. Go work on your butt. At the same time, it allows us to replace anger with love and compassion and embody these qualities in our actions, provided we remember to stay grounded, present, and discerning at all times. So I don't know if it was last video or the one before, we said the way to get through the Gemini season, which is quite crazy at this point, is to remain balanced. Right in the center of your world. If you find you're being pulled here or you're being pulled there, just regain it. You need to take control. In a world that is quite chaotic, the only thing you really can control is yourself, and it starts with controlling your mind. So going forward, you might have thoughts coming back from the past, which is normal at this time, for you to address them. Shadow issues, things that Chiron we spoke about, this is your childhood stuff, so you could have childhood things coming up, and if you don't have it in your external environment, it's going to be happening in your mind, all right? Because a city divided upon itself will fall. So if we see how there's division out in the world and it's just escalating, but from the middle, from that will rise something which is going to be the new normal, which is very balanced. Okay, the merging of. So you can help by staying in the center of your world, by remaining balanced. When you feel you're being pulled in any directions and you're starting to feel panicky and out of control, then take a step back, stop, take time for you. Okay, I wanted just to tell you about an experiment we did. Must be some years back now. Anyway, I had a group of people that I was teaching. So I purchased them each 2 plants. I said, right, what I want you to do is I want you to take this plant and I want you to make sure that it has enough water and it has sunlight. I told them more or less where to place the plant to give it the hope of living. Then I gave them another plant. I said, right, you see this plant? What I want you to do is the same. I want you to make sure it lives. I want you to put it in a place it's good for it, and I want you to give it water. But plant number 1, I want you to go every day and I want you to talk to that plant. I want you to touch its leaves. I want you to tell that plant everything that's good about your life and about the world and anything. This is your friend. But the other plant, I just want you to water. Give it 0 attention. So after a few weeks, I said, okay, what has happened with your plants? And of course, unanimously, they said the plant that they were loving, they were giving attention to, was blooming. It was doing marvelously. The plant that they were just giving water just to keep it alive was not doing so well. It was stunted. It was starting to look angry looking, really. See the power that you have, essentially. Very powerful we are. Okay, so I wanted just to chat quickly about the upcoming Mercury retrograde and just give you, I've asked them to put together a little sheet, here it is, with the benefits and the pitfalls. And we will put it online for you as we go forward. Okay, so Mercury is going into retrograde from 17th of June, but we're already feeling that that we're in that shadow period. Okay, Mercury retrograde is renowned as a time of chaos. Whatever going on now is a snapshot of what we will be dealing with going forward, intensified through the retrograde and through the eclipse period. All right, so when Mercury goes retrograde, the benefits are as follows. Opportunity to cut back on mental activity to allow the mind to recharge. Very important. A lot of mental activity. Gemini, ruled by Mercury. Now we've got Mercury in retrograde. Okay, this is a lot of mental activity. But it's going retrograde. It's going to be activity very deep. A lot of mental activity. A lot of thoughts coming through from the subconscious relative to, if we look at the week's astrology, about your past, your upbringing, your traumas. Okay. Going into retrograde, we can have an opportunity just to slow that down by grounding out. Being in water is very helpful. It's an opportunity to learn to trust the intuition rather than relying solely on logic. Hence, everyone's feeling that heightened sense of intuitive contact, that feeling very close to the spiritual realms. Because we're always that close, it's just that we put that barrier in by being distracted by all non-essential things. So your intuition is going to be very strong. Make sure that you're discerning with your actions. An opportunity to learn to go with divine flow rather than trying to make things happen the way we think they should. Now, what will occur for some of us is we've started projects and we're like, we're going, and it's going great. We're going. Then Mercury goes into retrograde. So then it's like running in treacle or in quicksand. You're running, but you're not going very far. I mean, for every normal pace that you're trying to do at your speed, you're just edging forward. Can be very, very frustrating for people who are go. Very frustrating. So slow it down. Okay? Slow it down. It's a great time to do research for your projects. There will be disruption. It's a time when communication, when it goes retrograde, gets a bit confused. Miscommunication seems to happen a lot. Appointments seem to be missed. Just general communication chaos, missed communication. But it's all helping us get into divine flow. So in other words, not how you want it to go, when you want it to go, and how you want it to go, but how it needs to go for your best life. You see, the reason why our Father would have removed some people from your life is because he heard conversations that you didn't. So let it go. It's a time to let things go, whether it be thoughts or actual people, situations, ways of being. A chance to learn to ask questions rather than making assumptions. Don't just assume. Ask the question. A good time to review old projects and tidy up any loose ends. A good time to do research into new projects we wish to start. A good time to get into the habit of backing up important files on your computers, passwords. Computer backups, backing up your passwords, doing all your backups, sorting out your oil and your motors, all of that sort of thing. It's a time to get to grips with the foundations of your technology that you've got around you and your security. An opportunity to discover truths that you've overlooked. There might have been a few things you missed. You might have made assumptions on certain things, so you took a course of action. It is a time when other information now will come to light to go, yes, you were right, or perhaps you should have asked a few questions and not just made assumptions. It's also an opportunity to transform and renew the mind through letting go of outdated or outmoded thought patterns. Boy bye. I heard that a lot this week. Every time anyone called me, there was a boy bye. So yes, way of thinking bye bye. Definitely. The pitfalls. It is not a good time to be signing contracts because not all the information will be present to make informed decisions. If you can, hold back on that. Do some more research. Don't rush in. If If you have to sign a contract, check it through very, very clearly. And you can be rest assured that any contract signed now will have to be altered down the road. So leave some leeway to maneuver if you have to. Any contracts signed during a retrograde be problematic throughout the whole period of the contract. So patience. Be prepared for the odd slip of the tongue and other miscommunication gaps, like maybe you're having a good gossip about someone, or you heard some information about someone, so you decide, I'm going to text my friend this new juicy bit of information. So you start texting your friend all the gory EastEnder details, and accidentally you send it to the person you're gossiping about. That happens a lot during this period of time. It is not a good time to start new projects, but it is a good time to research for those new projects. Potential glitches with electrical equipment, and potential for chaos and disruption if we try to resist the natural flow. Going with the flow and letting go and accepting heart information as it comes through without undue resistance is basically the way to go for the next few weeks. Right, let's have a few cards. Wow. Three. We'll start with three then. Okay, so first we have the cow, which is nourishment, abundance, asking and receiving. Okay, we're going to take it on this level. 3D reality. You can touch it, you can see it, it's tangible. Yep. 5D reality. It's still touchable, it's tangible, you can see it. But your window, your perception, the way you communicate and interact with the world is on a completely different energy level. Okay. In the 5D, you manifest what you need. You don't really need money. This week, also it's what you need, yes? What you need. What you need. Because you might think you need something and it would end up being a millstone around your neck because you're seeing laterally. You know, our Father is seeing from above. You see further than you. You manifest from your thoughts something you need. Several times this week I've needed something and I've just thought, I need that. And I'll get a phone call, I've got this for you. And it is exactly the thing I was thinking that I needed. Many times this week that has occurred. Many, many times. So as we move forward, as the whole world transition into the new normal, the 5-dimensional reality, of course you've got to go through the birth pain of birthing your physical self into the 5D. Have you ever given birth? Yes, it's quite tumultuous. So as everyone else comes up, all of us that are already in the 5D, fully immersed in the 5D, we understand now that money is quite unnecessary, really, because anything you need, you manifest. Okay, so this is just telling us, look, be careful what you're asking for. Be careful about your words, because you can manifest something nasty just as quick as you can manifest something wonderful. It's about taking personal responsibility on the 5D. It is about truth, no matter the cost. And it is about faith. It is about walking on sunshine, walking on water, walking with God. Do you really think it would be good public relations if all the children of God were the beggars of the world? No, I don't think so. I think our Father would like a very good advert. So whatever it is that you need, you ask. All right, now here is the trick. You have to avoid then mentally focusing on how, when, who, etc. That is the pitfall. You see it, you feel it, it exists. Time's just going to catch up. Okay. Nourish yourself, nourish your mind, nourish your body, nourish your spirit, nourish your soul. Then we have birth and rebirth. Okay, so the birth of new things, the birth of new paradigms, the birth of new ideas for you, the rebirth. This can come in the form of feelings and emotions. You know, you've been through a period of time and now you've sort of come out on the other side, so to speak, and you're feeling a rebirth period. You're feeling like you've overcome. This is also the birth of a new way of life for you, potentially. Perhaps you listened to the video and you went, you know what? I'm bigger and better than this little box that they've shoved me into. And if I really am honest, the box doesn't really have any sides, or this prison doesn't have bars other than the ones that I see. So I'm just going to walk out. Perhaps some of you have done that. A rebirth. So of course everything has to follow. You see, our Father will never give us anything more than we can actually cope with. So if you want to be a international speaker, but you're feeling shy, well, you're not going to be getting 10 million followers if at the first video you have a little bit of negative comments and you just crumble. No, we start slowly, you know, because then the foundations are solid. When the storms of life come, you're like, whoa, game on. Let me get my best swimsuit on. That rebirth for you might be in your mind, in your spirit, in your soul. It might be in your life. It might be a rebirth of opportunities for you. It might be the rebirth of a relationship that you thought was dead and gone. But you know what? The fire still burned there. Also, we have the water fairies. This is about feelings and emotions. Okay, so for all of the sensitive people out there, the psychically sensitive people can be a very difficult time because a lot of you will be picking up everything that's going on out there. Your body is a receiver and a transmitter of information. With what's going on out there, your physical body can be having difficulties right now. You can be having super hyper energy. You need to ground out. You can be feeling lethargic, achy. You can be very psychically sensitive. You can be feeling like overwhelmed, and you're thinking, why am I feeling overwhelmed? I'm just in my own little world here. This is a collective energy you're picking up. So it's time to love yourself, figure out what's your stuff and what's not your stuff. Don't carry other people's burdens at this time. All right. You are not your feelings. You are just experiencing them. Let them wash over you. There's a lot of emotion out there, a lot of division. We can bring it together. You and me. We can create that unity. And you think, oh, we're doing nothing much here. Our energy is very powerful, even if you don't even leave your house. We've just had the full moon, so the emotions will be still running high. It's about balancing those emotions, yes? Not letting them spill over to cause you a problem. How do you manage your negative emotions while that poison is washing out of you? What do? Do you spew it onto others? Or do you take responsibility for that and go and meaningfully deal with your shadow? That's what it means, your shadow. All right, we'll just have a couple more. Or not. Not giving up the secrets too much today. Love, butterfly, and partnership. Okay, so we spoke about it, you know. It's about unconditional love. Racists aren't born, they're created. The disease of racism is something people have learned. It's a poison. This is it. The only solution. But you cannot give what you don't have. Okay, so it starts with you. So important. This is your contribution. To start to love yourself. And it's not a vain thing. It's not I love myself, so I'm going to step on everyone all the way up. No, that's not love. Well, it is love. It is the lowest scale of love. we're raising that love vibration. You can do it. Okay, the butterfly. The butterfly doesn't start its life as a butterfly. It starts its life as a caterpillar, and it consumes and it consumes and it consumes. And one day it just stops. And that's what we've been forced to do. Just stop. Stop. Check yourself. Who are you? Are you the light of the world, or are you not the light of the world? What is inside of you that was bred transform that by loving yourself, accepting yourself, taking responsibility for yourself. And then it's easy to give unconditional love to others, even if they stab you in the back. Because then you know it works. This is really about seeing the silver lining in every situation. Keep your energy high. What's happening to you is happening for you, not happening to you. If anything's happening to you, it's because you're your own worst enemy. Our Father only has our best intentions. Our Holy Mother runs around this earth, frantically speaking to each and every one of us, every second of every day. You got hassles? Call in your angels. Are you a child of God? When you go from this earth, what's happening to you? I know where I'm going. I was greedy. I wanted it here too. And partnerships. Yes. Partnerships forming globally, based on fairness, equality. They'll start forming. We might not see it now because we're getting a snapshot through whatever media you're looking at. I look at things. And, you know, the one thing will say this, and then the very next news outlet will say exactly the opposite. And it's vying for your time, your mind. You see? The spiritual aspects is there's a war on for your mind. Partnerships, more balanced. Groups coming together for real change, not just window dressing. We said last week the time of preaching is done. All of them preachers out there, give us an amen. Time to be teachers. No more preaching. You all stood there in your pulpits, preaching. What's behind the scenes? What you doing? What have you been doing? Time for preaching is done. Time for teaching. Father, bless us. Teach us the truth no matter the cost. Show us the truth no matter the cost. Peace be with you all. Have a wonderful week. Namaste.